Hi there, this is Cassie, and today I'm going to be taking a look at a story about my uncle. It's a game that was launched back in 2014, and I haven't touched it in a couple of years, kind of had fallen to the back of my memory, but I decided to take a look at some of my most played games, and this happened to be up there in the list, which surprised me quite a bit. But I forgot that I used to basically just jump on this game, try a couple of little things, and then I would just step away once I started getting frustrated. This game is quite different. It's same way that Valley is different, where it's not about hack and slash. It's really about your abilities, the story, the platforming, and it's interesting. It's about exploration, really, when it all comes down to it. But what can be kind of frustrating is if you mistime something, if you like what I just did there, like where I missed the jump by just a little bit, didn't have quite enough to edge me over, and then I had to go back and reevaluate it, and then next time get it right. Now, sometimes you get it right in 2 shots, and sometimes you get it right in like 20. So it's a good game. It's not as visually as impressive as I remember it being, because of course I played this a number of years ago and I thought this was the cat's meow back then, and now I'm kind of seeing like, yeah, if they revisit it, they could probably update the textures and that sort of stuff. So this jump here I must have done like a good 10 times minimum before I timed it perfectly. But yeah, that's a part of playing the game. And so the jumping is the first mechanic you learn, and then the majority of the game is actually spent with the second mechanic, which is the grappling. And the grappling feels really satisfying. You're really flying through. You feel like you have quite a superpower when it comes to that. And it makes for most of the sort of puzzling aspects really interesting. And you kind of get a helping hand in regards to the fact that you can see on the walls, as it's just saying there, basically anywhere that your uncle latched onto, you can see it, and then you can kind of follow in his footsteps. And the whole idea is to kind of follow in his footsteps, see where he is, figure out where he's lost, or if he's lost at all, and just kind of figuring things out. So once you get further along, you actually end up in these different areas, and one of them is actually a village, and it has these kind of interesting characters that they're obviously not human, and they're just so different than what I've seen in other games. I guess the closest thing they resemble is sort of frog-like, but it really makes you feel like you're on an alien planet. I mean, of course, this going around asteroid thing, grappling your way through space, feels great, but you're so alone, you're isolated, you're spending a lot of your time, thinking about what you're supposed to be doing in terms of getting to your uncle, moving forward, how to go about that, that you don't realize that this is, so much of a planet. You kind of get so wrapped up in the idea of, your mission, that you kind of lose perspective on what's happening around you. And I find when you get back to these villages, you kind of realize, like, oh yeah, you were on this planet, we're exploring, we're looking for our uncle. Especially they kind of increase the story parts at that point, and it's just kind of, it's unique, it's different, and that's what I like about this game. Even if it is an older game, even if the graphics aren't perfect, I really like the mechanics of it. I really hope to see that they bring these sort of mechanics into other games, not necessarily this particular developer, even though I do like their game, obviously. But any developer doing the same sort of thing, I would be interested to see. You know, sort of how Portal led to a generation of games that were a little bit out there. And I like to see that Valley seems to be in the same sort of idea, you know, where it's, you know, challenging how mechanics work and just making sure to do something a little bit different. So if you're looking for a game that is quite an experience, I would recommend this one. I would say it's a solid 7.5 out of 10. And so I hope you enjoyed this. Toodles.